I read that very badly. We're gonna try again. There are some qualities, some incorporate things, that have a double life, which thus is made a type of that twin entity which springs from matter and light, evinced in solid and shade. There is a twofold silence, sea and shore, body and soul. One dwells in lonely places, newly with grass o'ergrown. Some solemn graces, some human memories and tearful lore render him terrorless. His name's no more. He is the corporate silence, dread him not. No power hath he of evil in himself, but should some urgent fate, untimely lot, bring thee to meet his shadow, nameless elf, that haunteth the lone regions where hath trod no foot of man, commend thyself to God. Hello! It is October, and our theme this month is things that go bump, so I thought, what better time to talk about one of my favorite writers, Edgar Allan Poe. There are actually a lot more interesting things about Poe's life and his death than most people realize, so I am here today to give you 5 facts about Edgar Allan Poe. Fact number 1, Edgar Allan Poe was born in 1809, but by the time he was 2 or 3, both of his parents had passed away, so he was adopted by a man named Mr. Allan. This is where he gets his middle name. Now, Edgar Allan Poe and Mr. Allan had lots of fallings in and out over the years, and at the time of Mr. Allan's death, things were so bad that Poe was actually left out of the will, which made him pretty cranky because he was perpetually broke. Fact number 2, Edgar Allan Poe's hero was Lord Byron of the English tradition, and Mr. Poe fancied himself an adventurer and a romantic, even from a very young age, so much so that ledgers that exist from his father's business from the time when he was about 12 or 13 show that even though he was supposed to be keeping track of expenses, he'd actually flipped the papers over and was already scribbling poetry on the back. Fact number 3. In his lifetime, Edgar Allan Poe was actually more famous as a critic than he was as a writer of fiction. In fact, he got to be so well known for his scathing reviews of things that he even was famous for not only how he treated the work that he was reviewing, but the authors themselves. That all changed in 1845 with the publication of his poem The Raven, which pushed him into cultural knowledge as more of a fiction writer than just as a critic. Fact number 4. Edgar Allan Poe died under extremely mysterious circumstances, and no one has ever been able to solve what happened to cause his death. What we do know is that sometime on September the 28th, he disappeared while en route from Richmond, Virginia to Philadelphia. He was found in Baltimore, Maryland on October the 3rd. He was wearing someone else's clothes, and he reeked of alcohol even though he was a strong supporter of the temperance movement, which meant that he should not have been drinking. He called out to someone who has never been identified, was finally recognized and taken to a hospital where he died 4 days later on October the 7th, 1849, and no one ever found out what happened to him. Fact number 5 has more to do with an entity known as the Poe toaster than with Edgar Allan Poe himself. Beginning in 1949, 100 years after Edgar Allan Poe's death, a mysterious figure started showing up every year on Poe's birthday in January to leave a half-consumed bottle of cognac and 3 roses at Edgar Allan Poe's gravesite. No one has ever found out who this entity is. There was a note in 1993 saying that the torch would be passed, and presumably the children of the original toaster continued the tradition until 2009, when it abruptly stopped. However, 2009 is exactly 200 years after Poe's birthday, so it might have seemed an appropriate time to end the tradition. So that's all I have for you today. If you have a favorite Poe work, please share it in comments below, or share this video if you know somebody who might be interested in learning more about Edgar Allan Poe. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe so you don't miss any more videos, and we will see you at geekgirlpenpals.com.